how to set up application forms. So first thing you do is you log into your administrative area, then click settings, and then click application forms, where you'll be presented with a list of the application forms that you've already set up. So if you want to add a new application form, you click the add application form button over here above the table on the right. This presents you with the form for creating a new application form. So we're going to call this standard event application form. You can give it a description. I'm just going to make the description the same as the name. With this application form, when it's been used for an event, for when somebody's submitting their entries, you can tell it to include the text underneath each field explaining what the field is for by setting this field to yes, or you can hide that text and it'll be a simpler, shorter form. It's probably best practice to include the description. It makes it easier for people to understand what they need to enter into a field. We have two types of forms or application forms that we support in the system. One is an entry form, which is used for events, and one is a membership form, which is used if you're submitting a membership application. And they're slightly different. So in this case, we're going to create an entry form. So we add the entry form, and now you'll see in our list we have, what did we just add? Standard event application form. And you'll see we have an edit button on the side. So if we click into that standard event application form, you will see by default it has a first name, last name, contact name, and contact email as mandatory fields in the application form. And then we have one optional field called additional info. If over here on the right hand side you are presented with a list of possible fields that you can add into this form, and if you want to add a field into a form, you hold your mouse down on the field and you drag it. If you want it to be a mandatory, drag it from the right to the left. If you want it to be a mandatory field, you drop it into the mandatory field box. If you want it to be optional, you drop it into the optional. As you see here, there's only one field called membership number. So let's say for argument's sake we want to add a field into our form called gender. So we don't have a field called gender, so we need to come back out of that, click on application fields, and what we're going to do is we're going to add a new field, and then when that field is added we're going to put it in our new form. So we go add field, gender, and then a description. So please select your gender. You can, whatever text you place here is the text that will be displayed to the user, and whatever name that's typed and entered here is the name that will be displayed to the user in the application form when it is being used when they're submitting an entry. Now for different fields within an application form we support different types. So we have a basic text field. You can create a field that's an email address. If it's an email address field, then the form knows to check that what is entered by somebody is a valid email address, and it won't let them submit the application if it doesn't receive a valid email address. Likewise for a web address, lookup is where it's a drop down list, and I'm going to show you that now in a second. But also we have phone number, a date. A whole number is a number without decimal points. You can, similar to a text box, which is a single line of text, a text area is a box where you can enter more than one line of text. Swim time is a special type of field for entering hours, minutes, seconds. And then we have a multiple choice field, which is a selection like a lookup, except you can select more than one value. So in this case I'm going to demonstrate how to create a lookup. So a gender, please select your gender. The field type is lookup, and then in the box that's displayed underneath you can enter a comma separated list of values. So in this case I'm going to put female and male. So we're creating a lookup list, which is a drop down list with two values, male and female, and then force user to select the value. If this is a field that is mandatory, then you want to force people to select the value. You can also have a drop down list option, which if you set this to no, so you're not going to force people to select the value, then it'll actually have three values: no value, male and female. So in this case we're going to make it mandatory. and we're going to add that field. So now you'll see we have a field called gender. We can go back in and edit that field. You'll see it's got two values, male and female. So now with that field in place, we go back to application forms. We click on our standard event application form that we were working on a second ago, and now you'll see there's a gender field. We drag that gender field over and we save. So that's how you create an application form and how you add fields to that application form. One other short thing is that you'll see here that by default we have first name, last name, contact email. You can actually, so it's when this is generated in an application form presented to one of your users, the text says first name. If you want the text to say something slightly different, you can edit it just specifically for this form. So let's say you wanted to say swimmer's first name, and then please enter the first name of the swimmer. Save that, and likewise swimmer's last name. You don't need to do this, it's just to demonstrate that you have a certain level of configurability. Please enter the last name of the swimmer. Save. Okay, so now you'll see that this application form has 6 fields. 5 are mandatory and 1 is optional. So if we go back to our events now and we go into one of our events and we go to edit the application form, you'll see we now have an extra application form in there, which is the one we just had. So that's it. That's how you add application forms and add fields to those application forms. Thank you.